Hello everybody and welcome back. So I got this message from watching another message, and I really would like to explain this to people so they understand on my channel what teachings kind of mean and when you are actually to the best of your abilities. So you learn a lot from meeting other people, social skills, but not just meeting any people. Is every single age group, is every single religion, is every single background. You don't really know how to teach unless you've seen everything yourself. If you've only seen it from one side, then you're not going to be able to teach to the full capacity as you're willing to teach this lifetime. You will one lifetime, but just not every single person's going to have that. There was somebody that was saying like not to take advice from 30-year-olds, and it made me giggle a little bit, because you have to see what kind of 30-year-old. And I've actually made this mistake in the past, and I saw this really beautiful reader. She was like in her 20s and she made perfect sense. So I think you can heal from any age. It's not just older people, but what I think that person was trying to explain was about kind of being in your prime, but this person didn't really understand prime is different for everyone. So like a woman is in her prime when she's in her 30s. That's when you're probably going to have your restart and like really change your whole life. Whereas men, it's their 50s. So we're, even with men and women, we're completely different ages. And then every 30 years, you're like reborn. So say a woman, when you're in your 60s, you might have a bit more knowledge. When you're in your 90s, you might have a bit more knowledge. Whereas men are like in your 50s. And then I think men are really brilliant after their 50s onwards, to be quite honest. But a lot of trauma and things before 50, a lot. And then they're like 80, and then they know exactly what they want. And then it's like every 10 years after for men, whereas women, I really believe, is 30 years. But women in their 30s are like the best of their abilities, because that is when you're ready for the change and you've actually experienced stuff. But this was the whole point. I was like, we have to look deeper into things and not judge people by, yes, when you're older, I think taking knowledge from older people, yes. I used to work with elderly people in their 80s, 90s, 100s. Okay, that's what I mean by elders, like older people, not people in their 50s and their 60s. That's people just getting the messages then, just understanding life then. And then you're trying to find other people that understand life like you, but then you're older then. Whereas when you're younger, you're just thinking this is all a game, like you're gonna live forever, you can't die. It's a complete different stage of your life. But you have to also look at like when, how this person's being conditioned in their family, because it completely changes everything to how that child's environment's been. Completely, okay? How they grow up to be when they're older. Like say someone lived in an Amish, okay? You would think that person's really hard working at 30, 35. An Amish girl would learn so much in 35 years, correct? But then if you were like a stay-at-home mum, you might not really go out that much and just know about stuff inside your home as 35, right? You could gone to Harvard and you could have complete different view of the world and be really world traveled and high society. So you would at 35 see life completely different, and you would probably think this world is an oyster and you can do anything with it if you went to Harvard. If you worked in a charity, those people, you might think that those people have so much knowledge in charities, but they're actually going off of hearsay, and they're going off of people who want things from them. So they make up as much dramatic stuff to get stuff from charities. So people in charities don't actually have the proper knowledge because they're hearing the hearsay. So a 35-year-old in a charity might feel the world is more like horrible than actually what it realistically is. Another one, if somebody was like 35 and they were brought up in a mafia family, I think that person would have a view of the real world and actually what the real fucking world is like. And they would have a lot of teachings to tell someone. At 35 years old, someone who's been in a mafia family or a Mason family would have a lot of shit to tell the world, a lot of healing to tell the world. So we shouldn't put like bracket, and I've made that mistake, and I think this reader has made this mistake, but I've made that mistake before, saying like you should only listen to like readers that are 50 years old, which most of the readers I love are actually older women. But I've actually started to find some younger people that I really think, I really love the knowledge they have at such a young age. But she was right as well, when people like read something and they quote it, but they don't look deeper into it. They just hear, like I've had the same thing happen before, and I've had it with men and women. I had a friend before, Sam, it was really strange, and I was telling him a lot about stuff that I like found out, and he listened to some of the stuff that I liked. And then he thought, oh, that sounds good. And then another day he came back and he told me exactly what I told him. And I asked him to talk further about it. And he didn't know anything further. He just knew the basics of what I told him. And that actually made me giggle, because that person went in pubs. So that person just liked to just chat shit and just say like, this is what I know, but they don't know shit. Just hearing it off of other people, it's hearsay. But that's all I'm just trying to teach you. But if you look at how the person's grown up, that's how you're going to learn how that person has anything to give to the world, and has the more pain, the more trauma, the more humiliation, the more sadness, all of those things, the more pain, the better you are at being a healer. And it doesn't matter if you are 10, if you are 15, if you are 29, if you are 50, if you are 90. The best healers are like literally like old. That's what I'm saying, elders. And that's only because they're about to die and they're like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm going to tell you it like blunt. And I love blunt people because I'm a blunt person. So I really like elderly people telling messages. But yeah, even when you're in your 50s, you're still healing. You really are. And if men are just actually at their prime in their 50s, I feel like because we are at our prime at 30, I think women in their 50s, they get a bit big-headed about their lives. They think they know everything, when actually you've just evolved 20 years. Do you understand? Just the same as like when you wake up and you're 30 as a female and you're like, whoa, I'm in my prime now. I can actually say no, I know what I want. You know, a man might find that out at 50. But a 50-year-old woman, because she's had 20 years after she knows what she wants, she may be feeling a bit, I'm not going to say, but I know that feeling, and it's okay, okay? Now, there's a lot of things you have to learn, whoever this is. You have to have a lot of forgiveness in yourself, okay? Because we judge for what we know, but then when you go out and you find out, whoa, there's so much more there is that I have to learn. I know absolutely shit. I know nothing about the world. I'm a speck of dust. That's how oblivious I am to this universe. I'm a speck of dust. But then you actually remember, as a human being, looking after animals or children or old people, you will learn that you are actually really big, like Green Giant. That's who you are, truly. You see? It depends where you are on the coin. It depends what you're looking after. And also, in an ayahuasca retreat, which is one of the best ones I had, I remember seeing this ant, and it went so big. I could not believe it. It was huge. But then when it went back small, like Mother Ayahuasca said to me, like, don't step on it. Like, you don't see how big he is. You don't see how big he is. And then I looked and he just got really big, and I was like, oh gosh, this ant is huge. And then he went back really small. And like, ever since then, when I'm walking, I always see insects that are like, I don't know, they're just always on the pavement, and I can like step over them. And I never actually understood that until I did that ayahuasca, and understood that the ant is so tiny and small towards us human beings, but it's really, really big. It's a really big ant. And I think that is why this just came up here on this reading, is like, this person is saying like, you know, you're not going to learn anything from a 30-year-old, but the truth is, that's saying like an ant isn't very big, but an ant is very powerful. And it's just because you're human and you look at that ant like you're 50, and you look at that 30-year-old like, oh, look, in 20 years, but you're always going to be 20 years ahead. And I hate people who do that. I had an older sister, and she used to always say to me, and my ex-partner used to say to me, when you're my age, you'll understand. And I used to think every year, like, what do you mean? Like, you're always going to be older than me. I'm never going to understand you, and I don't want to understand you. I really love my age group, and I love my experience that God has given to me, so I can teach people through my pain. But you can teach people through your education, and that's brilliant. but I've already learned psychology as well on my own without any education. I learned that on my own. And I also learned about a lot of tarot readers now are using this psychology, and it's good to show messages, it's good to spread messages, but it's not good to use psychology to get people to come in. And I'm very aware of what you're doing. I'm aware of the other reader, what she's doing, and it's okay. But that tricks don't work on me, and you'll never be able to use your psychology stuff on me. I've had enough psychologists like actually understand me and tell me what I have, but you're never going to be able to get that from a YouTube video, because a YouTube video is showing you what they want to show you. So you cannot use your psychology on YouTube videos. It just doesn't work. You've got to meet the human form of the person. You have to study them for a couple of days on their own. You can't just see someone one time a week and say, I actually understand this person. You have to study them for a couple of days. And I also think we need to now find about brain scans and really how we can actually find out how people are communicating through the brain, you know? And I'm hoping that comes soon, because psychology is really about body language and like studying the person. But once you've had trauma, your body changes, and it gets, especially me, my body changes through different people. Like, I have so much confidence on my own. I love when I'm around people that I love. I have so much confidence. I can show my wacky, crazy, weird self. And then when I'm around certain other people, I have so much bad social anxiety. I can't even speak. And sometimes I have social anxiety. I have to shout out loud. I look like a crazy person just to get words out. So you can't really tell the person by their age group. You really have to look at like what trauma has that person gone through, because it doesn't matter what age group you are. If you've gone through trauma, you're going to change throughout who you're with. And I'm a prime example that I change throughout every person. It depends if I feel safe with you. It depends if I trust you. It depends. But yeah, I just hope that this person, or whoever you are, don't look at someone and say, oh, that person's only 30, they don't know any life skills. You don't know what that person's gone through in life. You don't know where they've been. You don't know who they've hung out with. You don't know what they've seen. You don't know what they've grown up with. Just because you've had a normal grown-up, like, quinky dinky nicey life, not everybody has had that lifestyle. Some people have been raw, really right out there in life. They've seen it, and they haven't chosen to join in. They just understand it, and that's made them more understanding towards the world and people. Also, people that have large families are probably better in the world, because if you have like 8, 9, 10 siblings, you got like 8, 9, 10 different types of people and personalities. So when you go out and you meet friends, you're more likely to understand, I see this one, I saw this in my brother or sister, I see this, I saw that in my brother or sister. And if you're from smaller families, you're probably more selfish. Like, if you're an only child, you're a very selfish person. If you've only got 1 or 2 siblings, you're very selfish with your things. Like, you don't want to share. Like, you know, you have a bag of crisps and it's all for yourself. But if you see people and they got like 6 or 7 brothers, or 3 or 4 brothers, you see like they open a bag of crisps and they're like, does anyone want a crisp? They're used to sharing. So they see the world so differently. They explain the world so differently. Don't judge someone on their age. There's so many different parts to a human being. It's not just about age. It's nothing about age. It's nothing about religion. And it's nothing about race or color. It's nothing about these things. And I find that a lot of people want to just really like jam in on it. But you're not even seeing all the other beautiful things around all of that I've just explained. Yeah, this has been 13 minutes. I'm going to go now because I really need a coffee. Have a lovely day. Konnichiwa. Thank you very much. And also, I would like to say thank you very much for everybody who has actually liked those videos. I am very grateful for you. And I wish you, wish you like some nice happiness today. Okay? Thanks. Bye.